We know COVID-19 has not impacted communities equally. Low-income and racialized neighborhoods have been hit the hardest. And tonight, school registration numbers indicate a higher number of Toronto parents in those communities will not be sending their children back to their physical classrooms. The Toronto District School Board is trying to figure out why. The TDSB released its registration numbers from its survey for each school today. CityNews compared it to the list of 81 schools deemed by Toronto Public Health to be in higher COVID risk communities and found disparities in enrollment for in-class learning depending on where the school is located in the city. For example, Yorkwoods Public School in the Jane Finch area so far has just 37% of students returning for in-class learning. Compare that to Balmy Beach Public School in the Beaches, where 85% of children are going back to class. One reason for this disparity could be the difference in response rates to the TDSB survey. 17% of families at Balmy have not indicated to the school what their plans are, versus 37% at Yorkwoods. But of the 81 schools deemed by public health to be at higher risk for COVID, 32 have less than 50% of students returning for in-class learning. Do you think parents are potentially more afraid, or are these also neighborhoods where the schools have to reach out to these communities more?
That's the difficulty to know with any certainty. I think it's definitely a possibility. It's just too early to say based on the information we have at this point.
The Toronto District School Board is putting added resources into high-risk schools and says class sizes in them will be among the lowest in the city. JKSK classes will be capped at 15 and grades 1 to 8 capped at 20. In all other schools, JKSK will be capped at 27, grades 1 to 3 at 20, and 4 to 8 at 27. Premier Ford was asked about the difference in the registration numbers. He insisted his government is doing enough for all students and had this to say to children going back to school.
You hear a lot of fear-mongering on TV, and for that I apologize to the kids. The kids are so excited about going back to school, and they have 1,000 pounds on their shoulders. So kids, I just want to tell you, if you go back to school, I wish you all a great year.
And the Premier expressed concern today about the rising number of COVID cases in Brampton. Out of the 148 new cases in Ontario today, 72, or almost half, are from Peel.
I'm really concerned when Brampton makes up 3% of the population and represents 40% of the cases yesterday. That's concerning, and I keep seeing it escalating. We can't have these backyard parties. Anyone who's thinking they're having a big shindig this weekend, forget about it, cancel it, or we won't hesitate to, again, shut it down.
Now, the TDSB says schools will be reaching out to families that have not yet indicated what their plans are for children, and that the numbers can potentially fluctuate. It's causing a lot of last-minute scrambling because they have to staff according to the numbers, and some teachers may not find out until the last couple of days where they will be teaching and if it will be online or in a school.